Why aren't people getting polygraphed? If somebody really did something to you, you would have no issues getting polygraphed. Strap it up. What's up, world? Welcome back to Cancel Thoughts. It's your boy Better Days here. About 2 years ago now, Jason Derulo was falsely accused of SA, and very recently he was on a podcast where he was given the opportunity to address the situation. So I want to show you guys that clip really quickly. Before I get into it though, guys, if I by the end of this video earn you guys a subscription, do me a solid and like the video and subscribe to the channel, guys. It only takes a couple of seconds and it helps out more than you guys realize. That being said, let's get right into it.
There's a lawsuit not too long ago by an artist that was like hired to your label that was dismissed.
Twice.
What did you learn going through that?
Never work with women.
Oh, come on.
There's truth in every joke. But it's a sad truth. Like, I will never be alone in a room with a woman that I work with, like ever again.
First and foremost, that was not a joke. He was being dead serious. And I understand completely where he's coming from. And I think most men understand it too, because at the end of the day, there's just a variety of variables that you have to account for when you're a man dealing with a woman that you just don't have to account for when you're dealing with other men. And that's just the reality of the situation, because women on a regular basis experience a roller coaster of emotions that men just do not. And it's not even necessarily their fault all the time, even though that's not an excuse. Nature just kind of made it that way. And when you're a man and you're dealing with these people, you have to understand, especially in a professional setting where everybody's literally just trying to do their jobs, get paid, and go home, you need to understand how to navigate through this. And the best way and the most foolproof way for you to not be victimized by certain scenarios like the one that Jason Derulo is having to address here is by limiting your exposure to them as much as possible. Is it fair?
Absolutely fucking not.
Is it right? Probably not. But at the end of the day, you're worried about self-preservation because you don't want your livelihood to be put in jeopardy, and you just have to do what you have to do. There are jokes that you literally can make to men that women will find the most offensive in the world, and that's just the reality of the situation. And then when you add into it that society in some way, shape, or form kind of makes excuses for the bad behaviors of women that it doesn't necessarily make for men, it's just, you just don't want to risk it. It's just not worth it whatsoever.
Why?
It's too risky. That case was dismissed twice in two different states. And there's hardly no mention of it online. When that case was brought up, it was on every single blog, every single front page. And I lost so many brand deals, relationships off of a story that was not even slightly believable.
You got to understand how media works and the internet works, bro. Like, you are the headline, you are the story. People are not about to come out and say, oh, we were wrong. That would take corporations and the people running these corporations to have the humility to actually, one, do their due diligence and follow the case to its conclusion and go, oh, wait, it got dismissed. But again, it also will not make the headlines in the same way as Jason Derulo got a SA allegation on him. That's just not the way media works, and that's not the way people work. But at the end of the day, to me, the more insidious thing is that this person can falsely accuse you and there are no consequences whatsoever for her actions.
That's flat fucking insane.
Not only can you just say stuff and people will just believe you, but when you're proven wrong in a court of law, there are no consequences. To me personally, she should have to do the exact time that he was going to do had he been found guilty of this allegation.
She said I sacrificed a goat in a sexual ritual. All people read was the headline, right? And that's all it takes to lose everything. That's a crazy concept. I lost millions of dollars off of an arbitrary story that some woman told.
To me, one of the worst and most insidious statements I have ever heard, I heard it in 2017 for the first time, and it was the believe all women nonsense. And I've literally lost friends over this, guys. I'm not kidding whatsoever, because at the end of the day, it's like, do y'all not understand that people have the capacity to lie? Like, it's one of the dumbest things to me. And I'm actually going to tell you guys this story as well, because this is how I lost a friend on that day, okay? And he wasn't even necessarily a good friend, but he was a guy that I kind of knew in passing or whatever. But now I just don't respect that person whatsoever, okay? I was at a bonfire with a couple of friends. We were like playing music and we were drinking beers or whatever. But one of our friends that we knew from high school, and he wasn't even necessarily a friend either, but he was a guy that we knew from high school. He had been accused of SA. And one of the guys at the bonfire as well knew the person who had accused this guy. So the topic kind of comes up. I don't necessarily know how it came up, but it came up, and I just had the position of, I don't necessarily know what happened because I wasn't there. I'm not gonna just pass judgment on somebody from just like an arbitrary story that I wasn't there to actually witness. When I tell you guys, this guy that knew the girl that was accusing the person was literally trying to like guilt me into agreeing with the fact that this person had SA'd his friend. When I tell you that I almost like smacked the dog shit out of this dude on that day, you guys will not believe me, but I was like, yo, I'm not saying he did or didn't do this thing
at all.
This man was adamant that he was like, I know her, I believe her. I'm like, listen, that's fine. You can know her and believe her all you want to. I'm not telling you to not believe this person. For you, that might be enough. For me, it's just not. I wasn't there and I don't know. And we have to maintain the position of innocent until proven guilty. And I get it might be difficult to prove somebody guilty, especially of something like that, unless you're like recording your interactions in a bedroom, which is kind of weird, Diddy. But like at the end of the day, you can't just start like alleging that people did something to you and not have proof and then expect people to just believe you. I don't get that whatsoever. And that was like the first time I had like any kind of interaction with that kind of ideology, to where I was just like, people are actually really retarded. Like, people really think that you can just believe a certain group of people just because they cry or they're weaker. I'm like, you guys open the door to people like Amber Heard and other people to just falsely accuse somebody of something they didn't do and ruin people's lives. How can y'all not see how that could be potentially dangerous?
Like a crazy, crazy story that someone been told. So, with that being said, how can I be comfortable being in a room with a woman that I work with and not feel like she can just say whatever she wants? It's like, it's not worth it to me.
When you're in that and losing millions of dollars in brand deals, how are you figuring out how to navigate that?
You're not figuring out how to navigate that. And I understand exactly where he's coming from. The only foolproof way that you cannot be victimized by these people is by limiting your exposure to them. You cannot, especially if you're a guy who has a lot to lose like this guy. And even if you're a guy, because at the end of the day, I don't even necessarily like that people say this, because everybody has something to lose. It's even if you're a regular guy who, especially in this economic situation that we're currently in right now, if somebody just like falsely accuses you of something, you might not get another job for God knows how long. Even if you're proven not guilty, the fact that you lost an employment opportunity right now, you don't have millions of dollars to fall back on. You are literally out here screwed because somebody made up some story. And if you're a regular guy, you just don't want to risk that. It's not worth it whatsoever. And I get it that not all women are like this, and it's very, very sad that the evil women that actually perpetuate some of these bad things are ruining it for the rest of you guys. But you have to understand that it's a self-preservation thing. We cannot put ourselves at risk because we were in a locked room with you or the door was closed or whatever, and we say the wrong thing and you reacted to it wrong. And there's also this element to it as well. There are certain things that are called SA to me that are just completely not SA whatsoever. The fact that the term SA has been made so broad to me is one of the craziest things. If you say somebody raped you, that's another thing entirely, okay? But that now is being brought under the banner of SA. So it's like, what constitutes SA? Is it somebody looking at you for too long? Is it somebody making a snide comment? Like, what is it exactly? And then there's also the added element of, It's only SA if she doesn't find you as the guy attractive. If a dude is attractive and he says whatever, she might be completely fine with it. But let an ugly dude that's just like disgusting in her eyes or whatever say the exact same thing, she will be calling HR immediately. And at the end of the day, if you're a guy, you can't risk any of those scenarios coming to pass.
Man, it's really less about the money. Like, the money, man. Like, I have one name that I work so hard to stay clean and stay clean cut. And then like somebody can just say, like you can just say anything. That's the world we live in. You can just say anything.
We can't be capping, bro. It definitely is 100% about the money, bro. You lost millions of dollars in sponsorships and you lost brand deals or whatever. And I get that. And I also get what you're saying, that you don't want your name to be tarnished. But at the end of the day, you lost millions of dollars. Ain't nobody just going, it's not about the money. It's 100% about the money, bro. Give me a break.
And people take it as gospel. Why was it that those same blogs, those same pages, why didn't they post a dismissal at least? Wouldn't that be fair?
It takes them having the humility to be able to admit that they're wrong, and people do not have that. People do not want a mirror to be held up to them. When people find a story, especially of that magnitude, they are running with it. They're not even following it up to see if they were right. They're not following it up to see the conclusion whatsoever. They just want you to have done the thing that you were accused of doing. And people want men to be these evil creatures. It's one of the weirdest things to me in society that we have right now is that people legitimately believe that the average man is some like evil person. No evidence or anything like that. And listen, I get it that it's a group of men that kind of perpetuate and commit a lot of the crimes, but it is a disproportionately small group of men. To try to use the behavior of those men to generalize the entire male population, to me, is one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen.
If you posted
Because
the
that's
headline,
not going to get the clicks.
that's so bro, it's so terrible. So like people don't talk about the hardships of men, but it's a really, really tough place to be in, especially like when you have something to lose. Like it's a really, really tough place to be in. We talked about my past relationships and them saying things about me that I haven't responded to. We talked about lawsuits that I haven't really been able to respond to. I really want to respond to the blogs, if you want to be honest. I want to tell them, like, what the is wrong with y'all? Like, after all of these years, like, that I've done, it's been places that I've done interviews with, and, like, I've just been so kind and, like, generous with my time. And then they post that then you don't post the dismissal. It got dismissed twice. You ain't post the second one, you didn't post the first one. Damn.
Those ladies should go to prison 100%. Yo, like I completely, and listen, there's also this element to this whenever I see stories like this. It's like Jason Derulo is a multi-millionaire artist, musician, whatever. Like I think he's acted in a couple of different like movies or whatever. He does not need to be SAing people. Like, listen, I get it. There are some people out there who power trip or whatever, and they don't take no for an answer. But when I hear stories about guys like this, he's not a hideous guy, no homo, but he's not a hideous guy. Like, he does not need to do this. If he wants to get his rocks off, he can just go outside. He can Instagram DM somebody. He can get his rocks off without forcing himself onto somebody. Like, let's just be 100% honest about this. And the fact that people can get away, I'm going to bring it back full circle on this, okay? The fact that people can make these allegations and just get away with it scot-free and have no consequences, to me, is one of the craziest things I've ever heard. These people need to go to prison. That is the only way that this is going to get resolved, and we're going to stop seeing these instances. The final point that I want to make is this, okay? It is very, very crazy to me that in the year 2025, we are still dealing with situations like this in such an archaic manner.
Hear me out.
The fact that we have tests like polygraph tests and they're not being used is one of the craziest things. People can literally just falsely accuse somebody, not have any kind of like due diligence really done, and just like people will just believe them in a court of law is one of the wildest things. Why aren't people getting polygraphed? If somebody really did something to you, you would have no issues getting polygraphed. Strap it up, answer the questions, literally polygraph both people. You're accused of doing this. Did you do it? Yes or no? If you did it, the polygraph will tell us. And yes, I get it. Polygraphs are not 100% certain, but that's better than what we're doing now, which is just he said, she said. How is this not being brought up already in our society? To me, it's just the fact that there are certain people who are profiting from this on a incarceration level to where I'm just like,
what the fuck is going on here?
we need to change these systems, bro. We really need to change these systems. The fact that these ladies can literally just say whatever and ruin a person's life, even if they're found not guilty of the thing, their entire reputation is ruined, is completely insane. It needs to stop. And on top of that, it's not enough to just get a polygraph test. Get that polygraph test, and if you're lying, you are now the defendant and you need to be held accountable. And I'm thinking somewhere along the lines of 5 to 10 years should be enough to cut out a lot of this bad behavior.
Period.
And I actually wanted to add one more thing because I think it's a little bit related and it doesn't necessarily get talked about nearly enough, but we're still dealing with the consequences of it today, even though it's kind of 4 years later. And that's the effect that lockdowns had on men and women's willingness to want to interact with each other. One of the things that Kevin Samuels used to say before he died, God rest his soul, was that during lockdowns, women were forced to look left, look right, and they realized that nobody was there, and they realized that they didn't necessarily have anybody to lean on. The thing that he didn't necessarily talk enough about, in my opinion, or at least I didn't see him talk too much about it, was the reaction that men had to the exact same circumstances, because men were also forced to look left and look right. And what they saw, even though they didn't necessarily love it and go, yes, this is great, they were like, this isn't all that bad, okay? And this is just a difference between men and women or whatever, and men are just a little bit more adept with being alone. Women aren't necessarily, and none of us is really necessarily meant to be alone, but men can handle it a little bit more. But one of the things that I noticed specifically during that time as well in myself was I appreciated not having to deal with people's emotions in school, especially when a lot of your professors, and the overwhelming majority of professors in colleges right now are female anyway. I appreciated being able to just do my work, turn it in, and have it graded, and just be graded on the efficacy of my work. I didn't want my grades to be tainted by whatever interactions that I had with my professors, because they can say all the nonsense that they want about how, oh, they're impartial and they don't necessarily let their feelings about a student affect their grade.
That's bullshit. That's major bullshit.
On some small level or large level, your grade is predicated on your interactions with the professor. And during lockdowns, I appreciated not having a ton of FaceTime with professors. They didn't necessarily get tainted by my lack of or my demeanor with them in person. When they started trying to force people back in person, which I hated personally, I was like, damn, now I got to put on this fake face and put on this fake smile and pretend that I care about what they're talking about and all this stuff. And it really, really affected me. And I'm noticing it happen in relationships as well, because a lot of men are just not trying to deal with women anymore in general. Okay. It's not even just specifically unique to the workplace. It's not specifically unique to school. It's in dating and real life as well, is that men are just kind of going to work, doing their jobs, and going home. And I'm not necessarily saying this is a good thing. I actually think it's a bad thing, but it's something that we need to also analyze and understand, that we are still dealing with some of these reverberating effects. I'm going to leave it there though, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about this entire situation. Have you seen instances like this in your own personal life? Because I know there are a lot of instances like this that happen on a regular basis, and just because people aren't famous, they don't necessarily get the coverage. So let me know in the comments down below. And what do you think about my idea that we should start polygraphing people when they come up with allegations like this? As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this video. You guys could have been anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here with me, and I really do appreciate you. If you liked what you heard today, do me a solid and like the video, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Those things really do help out the channel a lot, guys. And if you didn't like what you heard, thanks for allowing me to occupy your time. Consider leaving a comment in the comments down below, letting me know exactly what it was that you disagreed with, and maybe we could talk about it. Either way, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for pressing play on this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.